world's conscious broadcasting network. Live on iTunes and archived on iHeartRadio. The voice of consciousness. And now, join Shay Parker's Best of the Best, offering celebrity guests, lively discussions, hot topics, free psychic readings, and expert guest hosts. Simply the best in spiritual and metaphysical talk radio. Listen live on your phone or device using our universal mobile player. No app needed. Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Find out more at bestamericanpsychics.com.
Powering your wild within. It is Allison Hayes, the rock girl, which will be me for the next hour. So I'm hoping that you can hear me. Again, if you know my phobia, it's not being able to work this thing because it's me, myself, and I. And I'm not very good at this. So, gosh, if you can hear me out there, if anybody knows me, can you Facebook me? It's Allison Hayes, the rock girl. Let me know you can hear me. Let me see if someone can hear me out there. Let's see. Can you hear me? Okay. We're gonna see if you can hear me. Anyway, today's show is entitled Changes, and we're going to talk all about changes and how scary they can be, and also how fun they can be. So. Anyway, let's talk. What is today? Today is July. Yes, it's July. Welcome to summer. It's nice and hot out. I hope you're having a great holiday weekend. It's July 5th, so I hope you had a great holiday weekend and that you are ready to talk about changes. I actually have a really cool workshop coming up this weekend. It's a Lemurian seed crystal workshop here in Asheville, North Carolina, and I have some really cool people coming from all over the country to play with Lemurian seed crystals and to channel them and to work with them and to activate them. And so I am super, super excited, and the Sacred Stone School elves are preparing the school and the crystals and all sorts of fun things. So that is my excitement. And then after that, I'm going back to Japan to teach workshops for the rest of July. And then I will be here in August to teach lots of Reiki, and planetary gridding. So that's what's going on this summer at the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School. And now let's talk about changes. It is 8:06, and I know that we can chat until about 8:15. Then we go to break. Oh, yay, yay, yay. I hear someone, actually the fabulous Linda. She's one of my awesome Sacred Stone School students. Linda says she hears me on the show. Thank you, Linda. Okay. Bless you. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about changes. All right. You know, changes are one of my biggest obstacles, one of my biggest fears, personally and professionally. Oh, I have another person saying that you can hear me. So this is cool. Thank you, everyone. All right. So back to changes. All right. You know, I do metaphysical work. If people who really know me personally, they can tell you that I do not have my act together all the time. I can be annoying. I can be obnoxious. I can be loud. But I can definitely work with energy. So I guess you have to take the good with the bad. And ever since I was a small child, I had a natural affinity and ability to work with energy and to work with stones and to work with nature and psychic abilities. So all of that came very, very easily to me. And I just took it for granted that, that other people could do it. And I learned the hard way early on in life that was not so. And then I tried to dumb this all down and tried to be normal. And I realized that being normal it was not normal for me. In fact, it was absolutely unattainable. And so that is what led me down the path of metaphysics. And so I worked with energy, I worked with Reiki, I worked with stones, and all of that was cool. And as long as I could kind of escape to that world, I was a rock star. And it really was my escape, all of that stuff from the real world. And then when I grew up, I had to deal with the real world. And what I did was I took a lot of the work that I had been studying with Reiki, rocks, and psychic ability, and I applied it to the real world in my professional life. And that seemed to work out really, really well. And, here I am talking to rocks. Who would have thunk it? Number one. And number two, years to 10, 15 years ago, people said I couldn't do it. And to be honest with you, I really couldn't do anything else, so I did it anyway, and here we are. So that's a good thing. And now that I'm older and more established in the Sacred Stone School and my metaphysical work, I started taking a good hard look at my personal life, not my professional life, because that was pretty good. I worked for a film company for many, many years, from my late 20s all the way to my late 30s. And then I eased into the metaphysical work full time. So all of that was a lot of hard work and focus, but it was successful. And what I did was I put a lot of my own personal stuff on the back burner, like relationships and other things, relationships, my home life. And I decided in the last 5 years, ever since I got divorced, that I really need to take a closer look at that. And so I did. I took a hard, cold look at it, and I realized what the issues were, and I tried to change them, and it didn't work. You know why? Because I realized that my way of working with change needed to be changed. So I needed to change the way I was doing things, but the actual way I attempted to change things was not working. So what I had to do was have a good long think on that. Now, listen, I have been on and off to therapists throughout my entire lifetime, and do they help on the emotional and mental plane? Yes, but there was just some energy that was stuck that I couldn't fix, even if I went through the emotional steps and the mental steps, and I tried cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy, Jungian therapy, and has it helped in little ways? Yes, but there was just some itch that I could not scratch, and that was about how I handled change. So where did I go? I went to the stones, and I went to the energy, and I went to Reiki, and I went to the psychic ability, and I came up with a brand new recipe for change. So first I had to look at why it wasn't working. Second of all, was this a fundamental cause as to why it wasn't working, or was this something with my own personal blockages? So what I did was I saged, selenite, and sounded. I did the chakra balancing. I did the hands-on healer with the foundation treatment of stones, and I did the Reiki. And energetically, I was clear. I was clear as a whistle. So then what I realized is that I had to look at the meaning of what change actually meant. The meaning of what change actually meant. And why I didn't want to do it. So it's 8:12. I know we only have 3 minutes till we go to break. But what I wanted to introduce to you before we go to break, so you guys can have a think on it and we can kind of go through this process together, is I realized that I didn't like change. Change was scary. Change was painful. Change was the unknown. And I didn't like it. And if I didn't like it, I didn't trust it, and I didn't want it, and therefore I didn't do it. I actually sat down and I thought about it. And I put more energy into stopping, into arresting change than I did allowing it to happen. So, I was like, Allison, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're wasting all this time and energy trying to stick your finger in the dam that is of change that is about to burst. And I put all my energy against what was happening. I, as a mere mortal, was trying to stop the energy of change. And it really was the universe moving me forward. Then here I am teaching about energy and Reiki and metaphysics, and I'm doing such a stupid mere mortal thing. And so I realized that I had to change the way that I thought about change. And so in order to do that, everybody says change this, change that. It's so easy. Change is not easy. Change is so not easy. And so what I had to do is look at what I didn't like about change. So it is 8:14, and we are probably going to hear this music coming up, and then it's going to cut me off, and then it's going to go to break, and then it's going to bring us back. So for those of you who are just tuning in or listening to this in archives, I have said in previous radio shows that this production program terrifies me because I'm feeling afraid of being cut off. And so I have to change the way I look at this. And one of my biggest fears is doing this show because I think I'm going to either cut myself off or not go to commercial break in enough time. So you are witnessing me overcoming my challenge of this show. So until the music starts, well, it's 8:15 and the music should be starting very soon. Oh, here it is. All right, folks, we'll be right back after the break. Yay.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hello, and we are back with Allison the Rock Girl on the Rock Girl Unleashed, empowering your wild within. Okay, so we are talking about change and how scary it can be, and why I don't like it. And I'm assuming if some of you out there are listening, it's probably a challenge for you as well. And, you know, I was inspired to do this show based on the David Bowie song, Changes. And I actually did this show on another radio station a long time, well, not a long time ago, about a year ago, when David Bowie was still on the earthly plane, and he has now transitioned above, and I wanted to see if I could play this song for you guys. I don't know if I can. I'm going to try and figure out how to do that on break with this type of production, this radio production here. Usually I have a producer and they can kind of play the song, but I'm going to try and play it on my computer for you and see if it works. But, you know, the lyrics of the song are very, very poignant. It says, you know, still don't know what I'm waiting for, and my time was running wild. A million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I'd got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I never caught a glimpse of how the others must see the faker in much too fast to take the test. Changes. And, you know, changes are tough. You know, David Bowie goes on to say, don't want to be a richer man. Oh my goodness, this is, you know, Hillary just popped up and covered up my lyrics. Can you believe that? It was a paid ad by Hillary popping up on top of the sacred Bowie, David Bowie lyrics, his sacred lyrics. All right. I just clicked it off of Hillary. All right, we're going to go back. It says, just going to have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. I watch the ripples change their size, but never leave the stream of warm impermanence. So the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. So, you know, really what that is all about is that things change, but they also stay the same. And so when I started to listen to this song, I am a huge David Bowie fan, and I have been since my late teens. And I went to his concerts, and I was so moved by this song. And, you know, things change, but then things stay the same. So what does really change? What changes is our perspective of our world around us, of our reality. And so it's not so scary anymore if you look at it that way. So as I listened to the song over and over and over again, and I realized that as things change, nothing really changes, that it was up to me to change my take on reality. And so I thought, okay, I can do that. And a lot of us, especially when we're living here on the earthly plane, if something changes around us, we freak out. If someone moves the furniture, God forbid we change jobs and have to meet new people. And a lot of us, it just feels like our world underneath us is crumbling. And it really isn't so. If you connect to the energy and follow the energy, like I always tell everybody else to do, if you follow the energy, and if you trust the energy, it's only going to lead you in a positive direction. And if you look at change as positive growth and transformation, then hey, it's not so scary. It's something to be excited about. And I thought, oh yeah, I can do this. I can do this. And so I was all excited. And so as I set forth about changing things, I did what most people do, and I overdid it. You know, if you want to go on a diet, you usually overdo it, and then you fall off the wagon and you go back to your old ways. Oh, one of my favorite things is saying you're going to go to the gym, and then you go like every day for 2 weeks, and then you burn out, and then you don't go. Well, the same same theory applies to change. A lot of people think I'm going to change. They change everything. They change their hairdo. They change their clothing. They change their sheets. They buy new towels, and then everything is changed. And then that's when it gets scary. And so I thought, good Lord, Allison, don't do that. Just do a little bit at a time. Little bites. Do a little bit at a time and learn to be more comfortable with change. And so, again, I said, I can do this. And then I set forth to go and start to change one thing at a time. Well, it sounds easy, right? It sounds really easy. Oh, that's a no-brainer. I can do that. Well, I'll tell you what. Something as simple as changing my, my way of going to work, or changing my way of washing my hair, I started to freak out. I had followed my own advice. I was following the energy. I was trusting the universe. I was looking at change as something positive, and it still felt really weird. My heels were digging in like Fred Flintstone trying to stop his rockmobile. And I thought, oh my gosh, my chakras are cleared. Everything is a go. I'm excited on a mental and emotional plane. What is stopping me? Well, I had to take a long, hard look at the meaning of change. And so what I did was I started in childhood. And then I realized that changes in childhood for me were scary. They were painful. I didn't want them. I mean, from simply outgrowing my sneakers. I remember I had my favorite red high top pair of Converse sneakers, and I wore them all of 6th grade, and I spent all year drawing little stars all around the sole of them, the rubber white part, the sole, and I decorated my sneakers all year long. And then I outgrew them in 7th grade, and I was so sad because I had to change and get a new pair of sneakers. And my mother said, well, we'll just get you the same sneakers, but a bigger size. And still, I didn't like that. And so there was a sense of loss connected with my changes. My dog died. My father died. We had to move. And so anytime I associated change, I associate it with pain and loss and grief, suffering and sadness. So, I figured it out. Change was scary. Change was painful. And it was associated with all the negative feelings that I just told you. And, in growing up, change was scary and painful. And then I went off to a new high school, and then I went off to a new college. And then, of course, puberty, your body changes. So we had to go through those changes too. And for me, it was all a very scary, scary situation. And then I started to build on that and realized that even though change may not be painful anymore or scary, it was the unknown. It was the unknown. And now, since I didn't know what the unknown was, I automatically filled the space with gloom and doom and what could go wrong. Not what could go right. Forget about that, but what could go wrong. And I kid thee not. I kid thee not. Every time I was faced with a situation of the unknown, you know what I did? I prepared myself for the worst. I prepared myself for the worst. I made mental notes. I made physical notes. And I said, I convinced myself, me, myself, and I, that if I prepared for the worst, then if it happened, I was prepared. And if it didn't, then I was safe anyway. But what I forgot to do was look for something positive. I had no idea as an 11-year-old child that there was something called the power of manifestation. I had no idea that there were positive affirmations out there. I had no idea that by changing my energy, I could change the outcome. No one ever told me this. Thank God I found the metaphysics, because really the metaphysics did change my life. And then I started studying about them. But even as an adult, when I was put under pressure in my 30s and even my early 40s, folks, I when I went into pressure mode, when I went into anxiety mode, I reverted to this behavior that I had built brick by brick in my childhood. And I'll tell you what, it was not until I got divorced about 5 years ago. It was 2011. That's what it was, 2011. And I was moving from New York, New Jersey area down to Asheville. I was actually driving, 14 hours back and forth, moving my stuff myself. Did I have a long enough time to sit down and deal with myself? And we're going to go to break in about a minute and a half. And what we're going to do is when I come back after break, I'm going to try and find this David Bowie song to play for you. And we're going to talk about how I shifted my perspective and my kind of concept of change in my reality. And what I'm hoping is that by sharing it with you, it will help you too. Because there's so many things that we are told we should do out there. And I think a lot of us sign up to do them. But a lot of times the instruction manual is left out, and they'll tell us what to do, but not how to do it. And hopefully by sharing my experiences, this will also help you. And we're going to talk about some stones that will help you, make the journey a little bit more peaceful and pleasant, and also accelerate the push through change into transformation. Okay, well, I do believe that fabulous, sexy music will be coming up any minute, and we will be going to break. I think I heard it. Here it is. All right, folks, we'll be right back.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe. The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Hello, everybody. We are back. This is the Rock Girl with the Rock Girl Unleashed, empowering your wild within. And let me just, I couldn't find, I found the David Bowie show, but I couldn't figure out how to play it. So I'm sorry. But what you may want to do is Google it on YouTube and just listen to it, because it does make me feel good. Hopefully it will make you feel good. And hopefully it will inspire you to think about the word change in a different, in a different reality, in a different perspective. So go ahead and listen to that. And every time I feel myself kind of treading water with a change, I always go and play that song. And if it helped me, maybe it will help you. So that would be cool. Okay. So we are also going to talk about, all right, so we need to know how to change. We need to know that first of all, we have to have the awareness, the consciousness that we have to change something. Let's talk about that for a minute. A lot of times we're stuck in a rut, and it doesn't even occur to us that we could change something or we need to change something. And then if it does occur to us that perhaps we should take a look at changing something, can we change it? Are we in a situation? A lot of times, with my clients, they're in a job and they can't get out, or they're in a mortgage and they can't get out of it, or they're in a relationship and they can't get out of it. And so I understand the difficulties of that. And my advice to that is one step at a time, little bites, and just change one thing in your life, and then something else will change. And so, I guess we're going to talk about my rug later. Me changing the rug, it wasn't a carpet, it was a rug. It was a handmade tribal rug, and I made one change with this rug, and it just changed my entire life. So we'll talk about the golden rug later and the change that it elicited. However, the first thing is having the awareness that you need to make a change, or something needs to be changed. Let's rephrase that. Something needs to be changed. Number 2, can you change it? If you can't change that particular thing, what you can do is change yourself or something in your environment. And then the next step, number 3, is what are you going to change? And number 4, how are you going to embrace that change? So, all right, let's go back to my example. I'll always use me as an example, not my clients, because that way I pick on me and it's not disclosing anybody else's privacy other than my own, because I do value people's privacy, especially my clients. So I got separated from my husband. I was separated from my husband in November 2009, and I decided, after the divorce started and everything, I realized I just couldn't afford to live up in New Jersey, New York area. And so it was stagnant energy. And, that's the first sign that something needs to be changed. Stagnant energy. When the energy fails, stagnant. And if you are not aware enough of that something needs to be changed, if you are aware of how you feel, do you feel stuck? Do you feel hopeless? Do you feel low energy, lethargic, a heaviness? A lot of times people even begin to become depressed when something needs to be changed. And you'll hear people say, I'm depressed, or I have no energy, or I feel stuck. But rarely do you hear them say something needs to change. And a lot of times we don't connect the dots. That if you're feeling depressed or lethargic or stuck, that something needs to change. And so now, if you're feeling any of those feelings, realize that something needs to change. And if you can't change your job or where you're living or your relationship, what can you change about you? Your perspective of change and your perspective of your reality. So we can always change that, okay? And so I was feeling all of the above right after my separation. And then I realized that I could not afford to live in the New Jersey, New York area anymore, and something had to change. And so I realized that my living situation needed to change. Did I want it to? No, but it had to. So I needed to look for some place that was less expensive, and I needed less expensive and liberal. So the only place that I could think of that I could afford was Asheville. So I went on the internet. I found something in Asheville on the internet, and with great fear, anxiety, sleepless nights, teeth clenching and grinding, tooth cracking, I pulled the trigger, and I ended up buying a house in Asheville and making the commitment to move down here. It did not feel good. It was the unknown. It was scary. It was all the above. It's everything that we've talked about. But I realized that I had to move because, if I didn't change something, I'd be homeless. And actually, that was worse than moving to Asheville. And Asheville's a great place. I love it now. But I'll tell you what, I had no idea what I was getting into. And it was the worst, one of the worst feelings in the world. So what I did was I would rent a minivan, and I would drive stuff down to Asheville, to help with the move, because I had a moving van that was coming, but I had a lot of stones and I had a lot of cats. So neither of which I trusted going in the moving van, especially the cats. So I would rent a minivan, and I would drive from New York all the way down to Asheville. It was a 13 to 14-hour drive, and I had plenty of time to think. And the whole time I was thinking about leaving my friends, leaving my house, leaving the oak tree and the maple tree in the backyard, leaving all my squirrel friends that I would see all the time. And I was very, 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 very sad. And so I spent 3 years. I moved down here in 2011, and I spent 3 years, 2012, 2013, and 2014, being sad. I had a beautiful house with a beautiful backyard, great neighbors. Asheville is glorious. And you know what? Because I was so opposed to change, folks, I ruined it. I took my joy away from something new. And again, I spent 6 months driving back and forth from Asheville to New York, and it was filled with fear. It was filled with anxiety, sadness, grief, and sorrow, all of those childhood things that I dragged into my present-day life as a 45-year-old woman. And one of my biggest regrets today is that I took my joy away. I was leaving New York, New Jersey area. Yes, my friends, my trees in the back, everything, the squirrel friends. But you know what? I was also going to someplace new and exciting. I had the chance to hit the reset button at 45 years old to reinvent myself, to create a brand new life. I should have been doing cartwheels. And you know what? I was sad. And I bitched and I moaned and I complained. And I worked the whole time. And honestly, my work, teaching classes and doing Reiki and psychic stuff, it was the only thing that kicked my butt. It did kick my butt. And so with all of the energy that I was working with and all of the spirit guides that I was working with, they got through to me by helping other people help themselves. The greatest blessing of all was to connect to that energy. And you know what? The energy of the universe, of the Reiki, of the spirit guides, that's what kicked my butt. And I realized, Allison, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're taking your joy away. Here you are trying to help other people. And see, the way it works with Reiki, when I teach Reiki, it's a huge escape for me. Because all I do is I move my physical, mental, and emotional out of the way and just channel this glorious energy, and boy, do I feel good. And I get to teach others how to do it, and it cleanses me out of all this stuff. And so that is a good thing. And so I got rid of all of the childhood stuff. But my consciousness, my current day consciousness, I call it now time, N-O-W, now time, was still fearful. And I thought, what could I do? Well, I need to replace the negative thoughts, the negative energy, the fear of the unknown as an adult here and now with positive thinking, with excitement, with joy. And to realize what a gift it was at 45 years old to be able to start something new. You know, a lot of people are in, you know, kind of the same marriage, the same relationship, the same house that they have been for years. And that's great if that's where they want to be. But then again, there's people on the other side of the fence that don't want to be there but aren't doing anything about it. And honestly, if I wasn't thrust into it, I probably wouldn't have done anything about it. I am being honest. I'm raising my hand on that one. However, I had no choice. And you know what? It's a good thing, because if I had a choice, I'd still be doing that. But I had to face my fears, and I had to realize that in order to change, I had to change my perspective of change. And now, guess what? It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. I realize that every time I'm feeling stuck or stagnant or depressed, that something has to change. So then I look at change as something exciting. I look at change as something new, a chance to reinvent myself, to recreate myself or my situation. A lot of times in my business with the Sacred Stone School, something's not working. So that means it has to change. But change is now the catalyst for the creation and the creativity of something new. How exciting is that, right? The opportunity to reinvent and recreate yourself. So when I realized that by changing my perspective of change, and that I can encompass and embrace change as something new and exciting, I can't get enough of it. All right? So that was the golden ticket for me, just the change of perspective. And I'll tell you, again, I spent 3 years being sad about moving from New Jersey and New York. And I really should have been excited to walk into a new house and to meet all of these people. And I was just I basically slept-walked and through that because I was so tired and didn't sleep because of anxiety. And again, it is one of my biggest regrets that I will never, ever, ever, ever make again. So it is 8:44, and the music is going to be coming up soon, and we're going to go to a break. But after that, I'm going to tell you the story of the magic rug that changed my life forever. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hey, how are you, everyone? Thank you for coming back. It's the Rock Girl here on Empowering the Wild Within, the Rock Girl Unleashed. And, this show is about empowering your wild within and unleashing your soul. And really, I talked about the power of no, which was last month's show, and that's about removing limitations on your soul. And this one is all about changing, which is another way of not only kind of releasing limitations, but it's also ushering in the new energy and reinventing yourself. Your soul is always growing and changing. And we, as mere mortals in this or on this earthly plane, in this now NOW consciousness, this now time consciousness, we need to keep up. And so that's what this show is really about, is embracing change and using it as a form of transformation. Change, positive change leads to positive transformation. You cannot get to the word transformation, to the state of transformation, without going through changes. And so I hope what we've been talking about throughout the show helps you to at least see another perspective out there, which may, leave you with bits and pieces of something that you might find helpful. Obviously, my way is not the only way, but if it resonates with you, great. And if it doesn't, at least you know what doesn't resonate with you, and you can move forward on the search with what does. So I'm going to tell you about the magic carpet, my rug, the magic carpet. I love handmade tribal rugs, and I have a lot of rugs in my house, and also the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School, if you ever come to visit there, and also in the Rock Room, New York City. I love these rugs, and some are big, and some are medium, and some are small. And so I have this rug, and it's a handmade tribal rug, and it's about, 3x5. And when I first moved down here in 2011, all of my boxes came down, and everything was, I lived in boxes for 3 years because I didn't want to unpack, because I didn't want to embrace this change. And literally the boxes were all the way up to the ceiling, and they were like tunnels. Like, you ever go through a hay tunnel at a fair? At a country fair, I had box tunnels. And I was not accepting, embracing this change whatsoever. And I just remained in boxes. And so, as we talked about earlier in the show, when I decided to embrace the changes, to change my perspective on change from something negative and scary and unknown and gloom and doom to something positive and exciting with land of possibilities and an opportunity to not only reinvent myself, but celebrate life, that I'm still here and that I'm still able to enjoy new things. So the task of unpacking everything was overwhelming. And so I also added another step into my positive movement toward change and embracing change. And it was like, start with the little bites, start with little changes. And so I said, all right, I don't have to unpack all the boxes. I don't have to, set up everything and I don't have to do everything at once, because clearly that was overwhelming, and that's not good either. So I said, you know what? I'm going to unroll the rug. Well, I have lots of rugs, but this is one of my favorite rugs. And I never really used it before. I had it since my 30s, and now I was in my late 40s. And I never really used it before because I didn't want it to get ruined. And I thought, you know what? Stop. Unroll the rug and enjoy it. The rug is going to outlive you anyway. So, I have it here in my office where I'm broadcasting live from Asheville, North Carolina. And my chair is I'm sitting right on it in my chair. And I love my rug. And so amongst the boxes and the rubble and all sorts of other things that I didn't unpack, the first thing I did was unroll the rug. I call it the magic carpet. And my dog came in and rolled on it. My cat came in and rolled on it, and they loved it. And so now my chair rolls on it. And it was the beginning of changing my perspective about my home, of embracing change and celebrating all the new and exciting things in life. And so just by unrolling that rug, metaphorically, I unrolled the beginning of a lot of other changes. And I love my rug. I love my rug. And then I started unrolling the other rugs, and I put them in the Sacred Stone School. And then I unrolled the other rugs in my house, and then I started unpacking. And so just one change can be the catalyst for other things. And so that was really cool, the story of the magic carpet, of my magic rug. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed or you don't know what to do, just start by changing one thing. It could be your morning routine. It could even be the cup or the mug that you have your coffee in every day. You don't have to go change your hair. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go buy a whole new wardrobe. It could be just changing the direction of your dining room table. It could be moving one chair in your living room. It could be changing one thing on your desk at work. So start by one little change that will lead to another. And if you make a change that is small and not overwhelming, and you enjoy that change, like I enjoyed my rug, then you know what? You are going to start to repattern, A, how you feel about change, and B, you're going to start to build more changes upon that, and your life will transform in a positive direction. So that's all very exciting. At least I think it is. All right. I promised you that we talk about a few stones to help in your changes. Now, I teach all about stones and energetically how they work. And if you're new to stones, trust me, stones are like magnets. Actually, magnets are a type of stones. And stones, with their electromagnetic frequency, can draw energy and objects to them. And it can also polarize and push energies away. So learning about stones is very important because you want to use stones that are compatible to your frequency and that will attract positive things in your life. You can also use stones that are compatible to your energy to push negativity away from your life. And there is no one size fits all stone for a person. I could use one stone, you could use the same stone, and it could do different things. And so the study of stones and energy, it's quite complicated and in depth. It is by no means insurmountable. We can all work with that energy. We just have to learn how to understand it. And so that's what I do teach in my classes here at the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School. If you're interested, go to sacredstoneschool.com, check out the classes. I also have an online class called Crystal Camp. For those of you who can't attend in person, you can download the MP3s when you sign up for the class, and it will really give you a good in-depth, class or workshop online, if you will, to help you understand that. But for those of you who do know stones or who want to know stones, there's two really good stones that can help with change. First and foremost is orange calcite. Calcite is a sedimentary stone, and sedimentary stones are cleansers. So orange calcite, working with orange calcite. What does working with mean? It means bringing the calcite within your auric fields and chakra system to work with the electromagnetic frequencies of that stone and your energy. Orange calcite is a good general cleanser for the auric field and the chakra system. Now, I know I said that not all stones are one size fits all. Orange calcite happens to be a very friendly and happy stone and will not attract any negative energy whatsoever. It will clean out any blockages that impede that. So it can be a forceful stone if you have a lot of blockages, but it's as gentle as they come. And so that's orange calcite. It's about cleansing. It's about stimulating the sacral chakra, and it's a way of attracting energy that will help you make positive changes. And again, we go into detail in the Crystal Camp series that I have on my website. If you go to sacredstoneschool.com, I believe if you go to the homepage and click on Crystal Camp, it'll take you right to that. Okay, we only have a few more minutes left. The second stone is carnelian, Carnelian. Carnelian. It connects the sacral chakra to the root chakra. Sacral is about action, and then the root chakra is about your identity, and it's really about taking action that is associated to your identity, which is you yourself, you and yourself, or I call it me, myself, and I. And so carnelian works with orange calcite. Orange calcite attracts the energy of positive change, and you can say that the carnelian brings it on home into your own personal everyday life. And again, you got to trust me on that. And if you want to learn more, you can come to my classes, or you can, download the Crystal Camp workshops on my website, because I believe there's a series of 9 90-minute workshops that go into detail all about that. But those 2 stones are ones that are really great for positive change, not only in the energy around you, but again, anchoring it into your everyday life. All right. Well, it is 8:58, and I believe that this show is coming to an end. Thank you, folks, very much for tuning in and listening to me. I know I can kind of ramble and go all over the place, and I do apologize for that, but these shows are all organic. They're not scripted. And what I like to do is kind of channel the energy through and talk about the topic as it comes in. And whoever's listening out there, I hope that it has helped you in one way or another. And again, you also have my apprehension, self-imposed, of course, about this whole kind of production. I'm producing the show on my own. And again, I am far from graceful. But I mean well. I will be back the first Tuesday in August. I don't know what the topic is quite yet. I'm going to have a think on it. But it will be posted on my Facebook page. Go to the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School on Facebook. Oh, okay. The Rock Girl Sacred Stone School on Facebook. The music is coming, and we'll talk to you.
Thank you for joining us for Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Be sure to tune in next week for more lively discussion topics. Have a great week, and don't forget to check out bestamericanpsychics.com in case you need some professional, ethical, and accurate psychic advice from the nation's best psychics. Until next week, take care of yourself.